Okay, gents,
Cool, cool,
thank you for
cool.
joining us, Stephen. And we've also got ZS3 Papa Lima. Piet, thank you for joining us this evening. I see we don't have a major audience tonight, but we also have a few people on the repeater network. That is ZS6HJH and ZS6 Bravo Uniform Delta. So thank you for joining us. I'd now like to kick off the Power Hour Tech Talk for Wednesday, the 24th of June. And today our guests are Peter, Z is 6PJP, and Wayne, Z is 6ORB. So Peter and Wayne, you are our guest speakers tonight. And I did go and have a look at your QRZ profile to get some background on you, but it was very, very light. So you would need to just introduce yourselves and take it away. It's your talk tonight. I see we've just got ZS1 OSK joining us as well. Welcome. Great to have you on. Over to you, Peter and Wayne. And you're welcome to share a presentation or slides if you would like to, or images, because I have given you sharing rights.
Okay, well, Wayne, do you want to kick it off, seeing as you and Keith initiated the Power Hour Tech Talk, and we can take it from there, or do you want me to shout on my
Well,
box?
I thought you could. Well, it's up to you. I mean, you can begin. Otherwise, I can start. So it's fine. All right. So, by way of introduction, my name is Wayne. Z is 6ORB, and I help run the East Rand Club with Stephen. Z is 6SKY. And that's basically that. We also work quite closely with the Scouts and the Rovers as we share the grounds with them. And it's always good to have a solid relationship. And actually, you know what? They're a great crowd. So anyway, that's what that is. I also help teach the RAE with the Sandton Club, and I talk rather a lot on the Joburg Club group, it turns out. So they're the set that they are unfortunately the recipients of lots of my jokes, some of which land and some of which don't. But and one was actually rather realistic the other day, and Ronald got a little bit worried that people might actually believe it. It was an imagined app that you could charge other hams for your contacts and your time. So anyway, that happened. What else? So basically, the idea here, and maybe a bit of the sort of background is uh, so yeah, basically, I'm involved in a lot of aspects of ham radio. I think Stephen can vouch for me here if he's not busy eating. But I think so what actually wound up happening was we wound up coming up with this idea of a ham exhibition somewhere along the line, and this is actually two things I'm going to touch on. One is the ham exhibition, and then the other is where did this Peter and Wayne show come from? Okay, and I'd actually like to focus on that, but I thought, you know what, let's fit the like where did the ham exhibition come from? Because now we got these two different things, and they seem to and they both seem to be gathering attention. So and actually, if it's okay, I'll let Peter do the Wayne and Peter show a bit because I feel that that would be, I don't know, Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. As we discussed it, I can run with how the concept came about and where we want to take it in terms
Ex-
of the overall ham community.
Absolutely. All right. So there's that side. So basically, the ham exhibition came up during a conversation with Hendry from the Pretoria Club. And there we were busy having a chat at the flea market. And he had the idea. I'm not sure exactly what the idea was, but it was along the lines of something like that. And I'm like, you know what? That is a great idea. We should do that. And then I bolted on around eight other things to this idea. Um, And then that's it. That's where it started. And so we've been building up our capacity and ability to do these things. So you'll notice the Scout thing. Let's just see. I saw a message there. Just give me a seckie. Oh, cool. You can get hold of me. I'll just put my cell number in the chat there, and it's my mobile, and it's my mobile, and it's my WhatsApp number, and it's my everything number. Right. Okay. So, Jan, you're welcome to give me a shout. So we're helping with the Rovers Moot. We're doing, I think, 6 technologies with them for around 35 countries. Can you imagine? And the whole idea is to allow these guys to all of them contact their home countries, as well as have their home countries represented via SSTV. So quite the old undertaking. But anyway, that's an aside, and that's part of the stuff that we get up to. So, but yeah, I actually started with satellites before I even became an amateur. My son is interested in the weather, and so I decided to fuel his enthusiasm and started making sure I could capture weather satellite images. And that's where it began. And then from there, the whole thing was very organic. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned like this. But I'm quite happy with where it all landed. I'm not going to. I think it landed very nicely indeed. And so, of course, yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is, I think that's enough about me. I feel like I've been speaking a little bit too long. I'm going to hand over to Peter. Peter is the rock and cornerstone of the Peter and Wayne show, and very much a people person. He's got an EQ off the charts over there. So yeah, Peter, take it away. Tell us about, and by the way, I might like to add, if you ever want to hear an interesting life story, Peter is your guy. I mean, there is a lot of interest in, and it's like genuinely interesting. I am not making this up. Okay.
YOLO, eh? You only live once. Yeah. Thank you, Wayne. Your check's in the post. Yeah, guys. And Wayne will bear this out. I got my ham license probably 18 months to 2 years ago. I did it through the TJ Club with the auspices of Noel and the rest of you in the Sandton Club and so on and so forth. I'm not a technical person to say that right up front. When it comes to ham radio, I can polish the radio and I can tighten up the screws on the casing. And I put in a PL 239. That's about it. That's all I'm really interested in ham radio. I'm not a technophobe, and so in terms of things like satellite and all the rest of it, I've built a couple of antennas, but that's as far as it goes. I'm more into perhaps what Marconi originally wanted to do, and that is use radio as a communication basis to talk to one another. And through that lot and through the association with Ronald and the TJ Club, Ronald came one day and said, "Why don't we run a morning net just to see if we can communicate with more people?" And you run it, Peter. And I said, "Well, I know nothing about it. The only net I've ever listened to was the Porkies." And day by day, the guys kind of just talk about the same stuff all the time. But it's a vital lifeline to a lot of those guys. And that's where I came in on the whole thing, is that the social side of radio, when we started this net, and it turned into the Wayne and Peter show, because Wayne and myself have a great rapport with one another, and obviously we speak about things that are interesting to the listeners out there, because we don't have a lot of people who talk, but it certainly got legs and appeared in the Sarl bulletin or something, and certainly now on your esteemed Power Hour, we've had an invite. So the Wayne and Peter show has has legs, excuse me. But I wanted to drive it from the point of view of primarily thinking about a lot of the guys, the gray-haired hams that we know are out there, who have lost their partners, who are living a lonely life, and don't have a lot of social contact outside of maybe going to the shops and the bank and that type of thing. And to bring them into a net where they could discuss, and we could all discuss things that are of concern to them, whether it be the petrol price and its effect from the war in Iran, whether it's the immigrant situation we're facing now, so on and so forth. Social things that affect them that they have no one to talk to, but they're hearing it on the radio and it's festering like a cancer with them, and that was it. It's to be an outlet so that they can discuss certain things. That's where I see the radio coming in, that we can use it as a tool to talk to one another, because a problem shared is a problem half solved. That's where I came into it. And Wayne and myself started talking about things like stock markets and AI, the influence of AI, and so on and so forth.
It was a phase, and I was testing some ideas. And by the way, I think it came out really nice. So, not to interrupt you there too much,
Yeah.
but I made this thing that did a analysis on a stock. I think it was like what, 48 pages? Hey, Peter, I think I sent
Yeah,
it to you.
it was a substantial thing. Not that went to guys listening to the Peter and Wayne show. We just, yeah,
Yeah,
thankfully,
I
otherwise a
sent
lot
it
of
to
them would have
Peter.
left.
I'm like, hey, check this out. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially that's what it's about. So from my side, I'm driving this whole thing is to try and increase the usage of ham radio, because it stuns me that I came from the CB community, and we had this alienation of CB people and hams, which to me is just rubbish. It's all radio. End of story. Whether it's 11 meters or it's 160 meters, it's radio. And I mean, my CB days, I've still got my Royce up here. I spoke to the space station in the 80s when they were coming overhead here. So that was a major DXing for me, but that's just the history that I've come from in the CB world. And I wanted to drive it that we could bring these people in and we could talk. That's what it's about. There are lots and lots of people. It slays me that a lot of people know about the Peter and Wayne show, but they don't talk. They tend to hide behind the microphone, and whether that's a reflection of them feeling they're inadequate in terms of talking about anything, or just plain shy to talk about it. It amazes me that we all go through this RAE exam and nobody talks. And then as an extension to that, it's also the fact of, why don't the new people talk? Why is our 2 meter chat in the morning so thin on the ground? I know it runs between 9 and 10, so a lot of people don't get to it, but there's a lot of semi-retired and retired and people working at home who could come in with different types of inputs and so on and so forth. Why are the newbies not coming into it? And it's very difficult to get out there and reach these people and say, well, have a listen and come in. The Wayne and Peter show is driven by the listeners, by the participants. We don't have an agenda. I don't talk about satellite stuff and weather and what. It's wherever that show goes, that's where I come in from. And if I know about it, we'll talk about it and we'll discuss it. If we don't, we learn off one another. And that's the concept of the Peter and Wayne show, is to try and grow this hobby. And we can move into areas where I'm particularly vocal, things like the RAE. For not being a technical person and having to have gone through that RAE and learnt all about the electrical circuits and capacitors and what have you, it took me back to the days of matric and the electrical things. I've got no interest in that. So I wanted to look at driving things like maybe an operator's license, where we come in and we understand that it's a gentleman's agreement, that we don't, well, that we don't recruit for different religions or political parties, but it shouldn't stop us from discussing those things, because those are real things that affect all of us. And to me, the power of radio, this whole power that we've got within our hands, lies within that communication. That's where I come from. So input from anybody. Well, what we're looking for is ideas. People say, how do we drive this? How do we get people to come in and talk about things that maybe concern them and that they want to share? That's where we go. The silence is deafening, and it slays me. It's strange. It's such a good and nice hobby, both from the technical side and from my side, to meet. I've met some very nice people, but generally it's been a pleasure to be here. And yeah, that's where I come from. So I'll hand it back to you, Wayne, if you want to take it away, or Keith, if you want to add something in, up to you.
Well, if I could just come in, and then if anybody would like to pop in and say anything, maybe raise your hand, or we'll leave a gap. We'll leave a gap. A 30-second gap in between, as we usually do on the radio, for any breakers. What is it? Any breakers, any takers? So look, Peter loves conspiracies. Okay, he absolutely loves conspiracies. So many. And in fact, Helga, my significant other, also loves conspiracies. 36 is too long. All right, no, sure. All right, I get you. That's it. Then. She also loves conspiracies, and so I feel like I'm up to date with all the latest ones. I won't mention any of them here. I feel like we all know more or less what's going on in the world at this time, and this isn't the forum for that stuff. Then the other thing I'd like to mention, it's worth mentioning, is I'm actually on a CB group, and when I got on there way back, in fact, I started on there. This was when I was still doing the RAE. I joined it because at that day, in those days, I had a CB. I still have it, and the antenna, and it was all I was allowed to use. And I thought, you know what, I need to get practice in with the mic, so hence buy a CB radio. Didn't get to speak to a lot of people. I'm not gonna really. There's just not a lot of people on CB, not in my area. But in that time frame, and I've brought up the ham stuff on the group, and initially there was a lot of pushback. I started with so much pushback from these guys, but these days they're on the side of their hams, and I feel that is a huge step forward. And the actual founders of the group are telling the CB, you know what, go do your license. And the thing I tell them is, guys, you know what, you go and you do it, and a world of options opens up to you. That's it. That's all I tell them. You're going from, what is it? I think 40 channels. You're going from 40 channels, low power, and the occasional skip, to making contacts with people overseas whenever you want. So if you want to speak to somebody on a satellite, you can do it now. I could quickly assemble my UHF VHF portable antenna, pointed at a nearby satellite with my handheld, and I'm talking to someone, And so that's kind of my view on that one. The other point that Peter was gonna mention, and I'm gonna mention it because he hasn't. I don't know why. So Peter, I'm filling in for you. Is a big part of it as well is driving the conversation aspect. Just talking, just let the conversation flow, and I suppose like if you want to go the other side. If you look at the so-called, and it became the Peter and Wayne show because it's actually supposed to be a net, but we're the only two people who actually rocked up to this net on a daily basis, or more or less made it all the time. Okay. I work remotely. Peter works remotely, and so it fits in. I mean, I can actually work while I'm talking. I'm fine with that. So that's the reason I can make it, and Peter as well. But on the 40-meter thing, the nets are about signal strength and what radio you're using and what have you. Okay, the usual stuff that people say to each other on HF. But the idea of this is to take into account the people aspect, and it's about what. First of all, it's about topics that are relevant, in our lives, whatever they may be, or whatever is going on, or what have you, or whatever the story, or whatever people want to talk about. As Peter quite correctly said, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. But more importantly, it's about people just being able to, that realization of, what, the radio is there and I can meet interesting people. I have met great people through this hobby. Those of you know who you are. It's a long list. So yeah, absolutely great people. Oh wow, okay. ZS1 OSK. There's actually in fact, a lot of the guys involved in scouting up here are in fact also hams. And the guys that aren't hams, I think they want to become hams. There's another Peter. He's instrumental here at Arrow Park, and he's talking about doing his ham license as well. So I think he's trying to find the time or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but I feel he's going to do it. But there's we at the last Jota, we had contacts with scouts in PE. We had contact with the scouts in Pretoria, and we had contacts with the scouts in Sandton, Sandhurst, I think it was. I think it was the Sandhurst troop. But I don't know. I've found my experiences a bit different there. I find a lot of these guys or they enjoy it. Like when we put up the ham exhibition. Yes, they do. Yes, that is quite right. And I am pleased to say that Stephen and myself got 66%, 60 out of 90 scouts got their made a contact badge during the last Jota. Well, the Jota before. Well, whichever Jota I was last at. Oh, and let Peter talk. Sorry. Okay, that's Sheldon. Anyway, I've said my bit. Peter, please take it away, and I apologize if I'm talking too much. Please let me know if that's the case.
Yeah, Wayne, far too much, far too much. No one can get a word in.
I'm putting my mute on immediately.
Yeah.
No, I just think what we should just find out, and thank you for the chat today so far. And I know that you mentioned weather sats earlier, and there might be some interest in that as well. But why don't we just see if ZS1 OSK can indicate? I mean, he's mentioned a disconnect between the different divisions, and is there something we should be doing? Because I know you are very active in the scouting movement. I know that Matthew, ZS6 MDV, is an active scouter and always gets us together for the October Jamboree and to do work with the scouts as well. And we're doing a lot of activities. And you mentioned that you are doing 6 major activities for 41 countries. I think you said 41 countries. So maybe ZS1 OSK can take a round, and then you can give us a little bit filling on that one there, Peter.
Yeah, I can't do much from the scouting side. As I said, I know nothing about it. I'm out of that. I mean, I'm out of the technological side, and I have nothing really to do with the scouting. So that's up to Wayne to deal with that. I'm only into this whole thing to grow everybody. I don't care what club you're affiliated to. I don't care what equipment you've got. As long as we can hear you and you can talk to us, that's where I come in. Radio to me is what I'm sure Marconi invented it for, to talk, not to fix things but to talk to one another. And that's
Well,
where I come.
I get you, Peter. I get you. So, ZS1 OSK, please take a round. You got your hand up. Mhm.
Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me.
You're coming through loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening all. Couple years ago I was working in a organization involved with radio amateurs, and I set up a national WhatsApp group with quite a lot of radio amateurs on there. And subsequent to that, I've moved it to a community. I've also set up a group for um, radio amateurs who are involved in scouting. And I put out a request on the national group to say, does anyone on this group know of scouts, active scouts that are also radio amateurs? To date, I have not had any feedback. And that's what I mean by a disconnect. You put out requests for information, and you're almost like hitting a brick wall, which doesn't help much. But Wayne, after this, I'll send the links to you so you can also see. The only way that I found out about this talk this evening is from another friend of mine who's not involved in scouting. He sent me the link, and then I sat this evening after supper hunting down the information. And I then just went wild and shared it on my radio amateur group for my troop, as well as on that one, which I've got one scout on. He's a scout here in Cape Town. So there's a maximum of 4 of us on that group. And I also put it out on the Western Cape group that I have and on the national group. If my friend hadn't picked it up, we wouldn't know about it. It doesn't seem like guys, if they hear stuff, are willing to share. And this is one thing that I'm trying to stop. So when I find interesting stuff, I like to share. So that's one of the reasons why I asked for your number, so I could talk to you offline from Zoom, that we can see how we can work together to spread this. My group scouts or troop scouts are very eager. I got both of them to do their RAEs. Now they've just qualified. They're both very eager to grow radio amateur and Jota as in on the air within Scouts in the Western Cape, especially in Cape Town. Get them up and running with radios and that kind of stuff. So if we can also get some help from you guys up in Div 6 on that, that would also help us a lot.
Okay, can I just break in quickly, Keith, just to say,
Yeah,
ZS1
go.
OSK, I understand where you're coming from, and certainly driving it through the Scouts. I think the Scouts is a great initiative to bring people who haven't even done the RAE, probably not even aware of it, to bring them into the hobby. Where I'm also concerned about is like the Sandton group. You had 11 newbies that got through the RAE a month ago. I've not heard any of them on the 2-meter repeater frequency. I've not heard any of them on the 40 meters. I'm trying to run a 40-meter afternoon show at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on 7.165, and it's dead. There's just nobody there. Perhaps we're in the wrong time slots. I don't know, but I have not heard. And my radio sits on here. The 2-meter sits on next to my office here, next to where I'm working all day long. And it certainly is not breaking. And it cycles through all of the repeaters. West Rand, Kempton Park, Joburg, you guys, and then you're linked to everybody. Just doesn't happen. Why are there no people talking on the radio? You talk about instant thing. I mean, you talk about satellite, this, that, and the other thing. I talk to my son and he says to me, but I can do that on Discord and I can do it on my cell phone. Why would I want a radio? So I'm trying to think of things of saying to people, where do we drive it? The gray-haired ones of us that are out there with radios are used to it. I mean, you're not gonna motivate them to change their attitude. I saw an interesting thing the other day that it said when a lot of elderly men reach a stage in life where they've had enough, they've guided people and looked after the kids all the way through. Maybe your partner is now passed on, you're alone, and you decide you've had enough. You're going to look after yourself. You're going to sit outside in the sunshine and enjoy life. And yet the kids will turn around and say you're suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's because you're cutting yourself off. And it's a conscious decision that guys do at that age. They cut themselves off because they've had enough and they're comfortable living with themselves. They've got the self confidence, they don't need people. And I understand that that may be a big thing with a lot of hams. They've got the equipment, they've got lots of radios, and they've got this, that, they've got the expertise and had the license for 20 or 30 years, but they don't want to talk because they're just the politics, the infighting. This club is better than that club, all of that. It's nonsense. This is a communication platform, and I want to drive it from the point of view of let's talk. That's all it is. So yeah, that's my little 5 cents worth. I'll hand it back to you. You take it away, ZS1 HK.
Well, just to add on what you were saying about getting the Scouts involved on Youth Day, 16th of June. At our hall, I did a YOTA activation, Youth on the Air. And from that, we've actually got 4 Scouts that are interested in doing their RAEs and getting their radio amateur badges. So the interest is there. It's just to try and expand that, the knowledge of it, and give greater, make it more public, if I can put it that way. Let people know where they can do the course, because I've heard from multiple people that they're interested in doing it, they just don't know where to do it. So
Well,
that's
that's
one
good.
thing that I'm starting to push here in Cape Town.
Yeah, it certainly gets advertised a lot up here. Sandton are very good at that in terms of running their online thing, the online RE and all of that. That's fine. I'm not against, I'm not, I advocate that and I say it's great. I want to know what happens once the guys have written their RAE. There were probably at the Sorrel headquarters when I did it, there were probably 30 of us. If I've heard, there's about 3 that are relatively active. But the other 12, 15 guys, I've never heard. Never heard
Well,
them on the radio whatsoever. And that's what I want to know is why. What can we do to
well,
motivate them to get them to talk?
well, one thing that I'm looking at doing is, once we start getting the numbers up here in Cape Town, is I've already spoken to our troop scouter to see if, when funds allow, if we can get handheld radios, cheap ones, dash them out as prizes to the scouts that are radio amateurs. And then what I'm also looking at doing is doing a 18:30 local time on a Friday evening scout net. So we call up, and it's basically to see what scouts are having meetings, what the plan is, are there any hikes this coming weekend, that kind of stuff. We've had big crime problems on Table Mountain with people being mugged and that kind of stuff. And there's also large areas where there's no cell phone reception. So that's another reason why we're looking at pushing radio amateurs for qualification for the scouts, that when they
Yeah,
go hiking, they can carry a radio from a safety point of
very
view.
much so. I understand that. Your biggest problem is you've got a mountain. You've got a
Could, could,
mountain in Cape Town.
could I
But,
quickly step in here? So what
yeah.
we did on our side is the Rovers actually had a hike. Stephen will remember this one. It was loads of fun. And we were supposed to do a survey before this hike. And whatever the reason is, the Rover guys couldn't make it. And so, being who we are, we prepared for the worst. And using Google Earth, I identified the ideal spots for the main base. Okay. So, the whole 3D thing. But let me start off by saying you can buy PMR radios for the Scouts. Okay. I use the Baofeng ones. They're $140 a pop when you buy 10 of them or 12 of them. I don't know. I bought I have a box of PMR radios, and free to use on PMR bands. So and I think
We
yeah.
we are actually looking at making them 2-meter
Yeah.
compatible. So when they go hiking, they can go, let's say, to channel 13, which is our 700 repeater, and they can use the
Okay.
700 if need be. So they aren't stuck on PMR where they're stuck on the back table. Someone's collapsed, and now they're
I
sitting
hear
with half
you.
what
Yeah.
UHS not getting anywhere.
Look, the ZU license is really easy. We had a superstar come through, 13 years old. Stephen over there trained him up on, well, actually, Stephen just handled it, honestly. He's just like amazing with the HF assessment and everything. Actually, Stephen's name is on the HF assessment document, if you look carefully. Oh, not too carefully, actually. It's right on the front page there. So anyway, he got this. Timothy's his name, and then he's super enthusiastic. And now he's done his ZS as well, and he's a properly qualified ham. And in fact, the same kid had the idea of an app which I actually made. Um, I didn't release it because I haven't. Anyway, here's what this thing does. It'll take an image and it will send the image as Morse code. And then if you've got the app or you don't have the app, you can actually decode the image, which I thought was quite cool. So anyway, there is an actual app that does that. And anyway, it was his idea. I made it. And anyway, there's that. But I absolutely get you. But the ZU is not that difficult. And I think the scouts will be very, very, it'll happen very easily for them. The other thing I'd like to mention, just very briefly, is using electronics at the ham clubs as a way to also garner and gather interest. Also seems to be a bit of a winner. I know that the Joburg Club did it, and they had quite a few people come through. And I know that the East Rand Club used to do it. So what we'll probably wind up doing is speaking to the guys that used to do it and saying, "Well, do you want to start again? Do you want to start doing it again?" I'm sure they'll say yes, but obviously the question needs to be asked. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. Then to Peter, the only other thing I wanted to mention there. Okay, I'm going to stop. You guys carry on, and then I've got a few more things to add. Or you let me know if I can add them now. Apparently, I talk too much, so I don't know.
Not apparently, Wayne. That's the wrong adjective.
Yes, sir.
No, Keith, go. You want to say something?
No. I was just laughing at Wayne's comment there. But yes, I think there's a lot of ideas that can be propagated with the scouts. And I know that you mentioned that I see Stephen's mentioned 35 countries. Now, are they coming to South Africa, Stephen?
Sorry, I was just unmuting myself. Yeah, they booked for South Africa. Some of the countries, there's Kuwait. Let me actually get that thing up on. I just want to get back to my WhatsApp here, and then I can just mention some of the countries. But yeah, the idea is that there's like a patrol of about 8 to 10 people from a country that will come across, and then they're gonna split those scouts or rovers. They're rovers, not scouts. They're gonna split them from. Sorry, can't find my WhatsApp now. Yeah, it is. They're gonna split them into like the other patrols and stuff. So you'll have like a patrol coming to our radio base or our technology base, and to have maybe one scout from like Kuwait and non-English speaking, one guy from Canada, one guy from Malawi, or whatever, and they will join forces with the guys that are English speaking, and they will like help them out as they go around. So that's basically the idea there. I was just looking up Marty. So Marty is 36 Mike Victor from the Pretoria Club, She's going to be helping us with the DMR base. Okay, some of the countries that are coming, that are to come, is Mauritius, United Kingdom, Mozambique, United States, Pakistan, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Uganda, Taiwan, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kuwait I mentioned, Hungary, Guinea, Madagascar, Cape Verde, Ghana, Canada, Bangladesh. Yeah, so we've got a few groups of rovers coming, and then the idea is they're coming to South Africa, not just for South Africa for the rover mute. It's 8 days from the 1st to the 8th of August at Arrow Park, and then they'll go out on outings like to Soweto to look at community service. They'll go hiking, they'll go river rafting, whatever. But it's to let them come to South Africa to experience South Africa as well. So hopefully they will book like maybe a 2-week stay here, and then in that stay they'll be going maybe down to the Cape or to Natal and exploring South Africa. So yeah, that's what the mute is. The rover mute is like the World Jamboree in scouting, but it's for the older scouts that now become rovers.
Oh, thank you very much, Stephen. I was unaware of all those details, so that's very interesting. And the ZS6 ERB has set up or is setting up 6 technology tables or something like that, I think Wayne mentioned. And you've got other clubs involved as well, or you're looking for other clubs to get involved?
Yeah, so the call went out to hams, because we said this isn't about it's like the ERB that's at the ERB clubhouse, but for us it's not about the club, it's about amateur radio, the broader community. So we were reaching out to via the Sandton guys and saying we tried to get Brandon, but he's going to be doing a SOTA activation on that day, so he won't be available. But anybody that wants to come and help, please contact us so that you can come and help. So far we've got I spoke to Ronald this evening, Z6 RBC. So he's given a thumbs up that he's online for the QO100 setup. So he's got the SAT rover setup, and he helped us at the Africa Day with it, and that was for the scouts, and worked very well. So that's the QO100. So Marty, she's going to be doing the DMR base. We've got a guy from Germany coming out that will be predominantly running the HF base at the clubhouse. So those are the 3 like interactive sort of displays. Then we're going to be tracking. We've got a display tracking the planes with ADSB. So it's not like flight radar, which is you get the flight positions from the internet. This is you get the flight position from the SDR directly from the plane. So we're going to be showing that on the display with using SDR Angel, and then Wayne's going to be doing the geostationary weather satellite, and then the other one. So that's 5, and then the other one is the SSTV. So Wayne did a very, very good job, excellent job on the previous the JOTA in October that we did it. So he produced a whole lot of like images as if they were coming from like the ISS, for instance, but they were coming locally on 2 meters, and then the young scouts, although there wasn't that much interest in the scouts, we sort of had to prompt them and push them along to download the Robot 36 app on their phone and then use the portable and decode the picture. But yeah, that's going to be available as well. And then apart from that, apart from our 6 displays or 6 activities, at our clubhouses, it's going to be divided into 4. So Hamnet's going to be there. They're going to be demonstrating the VARA high-speed digital mode and talking about Hamnet as a community service. Then we're going to have a robotics section run by Mark, Z6MDH. He's from the West Rand. And so there'll be like, it was supposed to be robot wars. It's now going to be soccer wars or something. And then we're going to have battleships, which is run by Nigel, Z6 Romeo November. He's on the East Strand. And then they're going to have some escape room thing being set up by Peter from our side, from the Scouts, from the Rovers. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Stephen. That's quite a handful that you've got to then do during those few days for the Scouts. And congratulations on getting that all together with the various helpers from the various clubs and various individuals. Well done. It takes a lot of coordination. Over to you, Peter. Z6 PJP.
Roger. Thank you. Thank you, Keith. Mark has put up a comment in the chat there, and that to me summarizes where we're coming from. He ended it off there with the newbies don't know what to talk about, and because they don't know what to talk about, they're kind of embarrassed and shy. And that is the crux, as far as I'm concerned, of this Peter and Wayne show. There's no criticism, there's no repeat of what was spoken about yesterday. It's driven purely by the people that come in. And all they got to do is they've got to just take that step and press that PTT button. When I started out, I got into trouble because I wasn't using the call signs correctly and so on and so forth. There wasn't kind of a welcoming thing that I had out of the number of hands that I spoke to. Look, don't get me wrong, there were plenty that are very welcoming. But I had a couple, and it only takes one to put one person off. And the Peter and Wayne show is just about that, to come in and talk about things that concern you. And let's take it further. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss, as I said, the RAE going forward. We're in the 21st century. We've got new people at the helm in terms of sorrel. Let's try and break the ceiling of this regimented hobby that there is, and see if we can't break out, find out what people want, find a middle ground and grow it. And the Scouts is great. I don't have any input. I don't deal with that type of thing. The only scouting I want to do is find new hams, but that's a different type of scouting. But I understand where it's going from, and I understand the technical side. I'm a talker. My son used to tell me when we had the parents' meetings at school that I should shut up because I was driving all the other parents mad. But that's what it's about, as Wayne has said in the beginning. YOLO, you only live once. If you don't look for the opportunities that pass you by every single day and don't seize as many of them as you can, you'll never get anywhere in life. And thank goodness we're all different, because it would sure be a boring world if we were all the same. And that's to me what this Peter and Wayne show, that is to me what the ham radio is about. Just to talk on different subjects, different interests. And yes, if you disagree, you're entitled to it. Voice your opinion, but don't be scared of the hobby. That's the main thing. As he said, they're scared to talk. They don't know what to talk about it. They're scared and they won't talk. And that goes for the toppies that are sitting in their comfortable environment, and they need to be shaken a little bit. If Donald Trump did one good thing, he shook the world, and look what it's done. Maybe not the best things, but we need that type of thing in this, as far as I'm concerned, in this hobby. And I'm a newbie. I just want it to grow. I want to be able to go on at virtually any time of the day, on 2 meters, on 11 meters, on 40 meters, on whatever it is, and there will be someone to talk to. And that's not happening. And I want to know why. So that's where I come from. So I'll dib dob, and I'll keep on trying. Back to you, Keith.
No, thank you, Peter. Look, I can only really speak for myself and the conversations I've had. It's not all about fear. Sometimes it is Mike shyness and so on, and we try and get them over that during HF assessments and so on. But obviously, everyone enters the hobby for their own motivations and different reasons, and we would love them all to get onto the radio, but that's not everyone's key objective sometimes. Unfortunately, I've noted that as well. So I just cut our cloth to say we'll just keep trying, and as many as we can get to chat on the radio and to get involved is what we will do. But it does require energy and motivation. And I recently you mentioned Marty, I think earlier, running the DMR station there, Wayne. But I chatted to Marty the other day, and what Hendry and Marty are doing and putting the energy back into the Pretoria Club, for example, is great. And unfortunately, people do get tired if they keep doing things and they don't get the response they're expecting. And you mentioned people getting tired, Peter, and that is true. Unfortunately, we do have that kind of fallout too, in my personal opinion. But what we do is we just keep pushing that the button. But the scouting is a wonderful angle, and I think what you guys are doing there is really excellent. So let's see if somebody else in the group would like to just have a chance at the microphone right now. I think we've been hogging it a little bit. Anybody else want to add their piece? Please unmute and just go ahead right now. Mark, go ahead.
I've got one if I may. Peter, good evening to you, and good evening to everybody else as well. I just thought of something now, which I did as, just as like a bit of a hobby on my side. And I wanted to obviously say thank you to 3 people in specific that actually did help me with my little project. And that's obviously Justin, ZS6JGP, Keith, ZS6HI, and Matt, ZS6MTV. A suggestion for the scouts, which might be a bit of a good thing that the guys can actually try and do, is build a survival box. And I know a lot of people are going to look at me as like, oh God, he's a prepper. Yes, I am, and I'm proud of being a prepper. I've got no argument with that. But the nice thing about it is, I built something that hasn't been built before, and you can actually create an entire satellite monitoring system, an ADBS monitoring system, an airband monitoring, an HF monitoring system in a little box that you created yourself for yourself. And I just thinking from an electronics and an ingenuity perspective for the scouts, this might be right up their alley. I mean, it's something that they can actually sink their teeth into. They can reach out to people who've got experience in building this kind of stuff, building antennas. I mean, I've learned a lot from building antennas at Keith's place. I mean, I looked at his place the first time I was there and then he fell off my chair. But the nice thing is, there are people that you can actually go to understand these things that you want to build. And if you get the scouts to build something like this, I mean, they would absolutely love it, because then they can see the fruit of their labor. They can go out into the bush, into the field, onto a mountain in Cape Town, wherever, and they can set this box up and they can make contacts under supervision, obviously, because I mean, there won't be licensed hams, but it's something that they've built with their own hands. And I think they would appreciate the hobby even more when they actually see that they can actually do something themselves. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I mean, those who are interested in electronics, that's a fascinating little activity, and it's always wonderful to build something yourself. I mean, just extending your idea just from a listening station, you can also extend it through to obviously those small 5-watt transmitters and so on that are also available in kit form. But yes, if you got a transmitter, then you need to have a license. So we need to get them those ZUs. I see Sheldon, you've unmuted. Please go ahead.
Good evening, gents. I've got my radio voice on. Apparently, I've got a radio voice. So, so I just want to say to the new guys, okay, I've been a ham now for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years already. I can't remember. And I got picked on right from the beginning because I always forgot to so I just read that I have a radio voice and a voice for newspaper. I got picked on right in the beginning because I got confused with my call sign and whose call sign comes first. Is it first mine? Is it yours? If there's a net, who do you give it to next? And you know what? I just thought, I'm here for fun. This is a hobby. And if you make a mistake and people laugh at you, laugh with them, you know? So if you laugh with them, then everybody's in a good mood. So I still, to date, I'll be talking and then I want to pass it on to the next person. And I'll say, is it my call sign first or your call sign first? And like I say, I've been a ham for 3 or 4 years already, and I talk every single day. So sometimes we talk, but we actually say nothing. It's just the thing of keying up the mic and going, hey guys, I'm here, how's it? I'm driving from here to there, or I'm sitting at home, I was listening to you guys. What an awesome conversation you guys are having. I don't really have anything to add to it, but I just want to let you guys know I'm here. And then what they'll do is I'm going to refer to the Porky Club because everybody knows the Porky Club. I've never been there, but I believe that they have a board which they write everybody's name on, and then they go through it, and then they come back and they call you and they say, "Listen, would you like to say anything?" So yes, in the beginning, if you haven't spoken on CB and gotten used to talking with a microphone in your hand, it's the first time. It is a little bit daunting. You start to sweat, your hands get a bit sweaty, and you think to yourself, "Am I going to say the right thing or whatever?" You know what? Just chill. Nobody can see you. Only you know what you're going to say. Everyone's listening to you. And if you make a mistake, laugh. If they laugh at you, laugh with them. It's all about it's all about the hobby and just talking nonsense. There are some very, very interesting conversations that happen. There's a on 40 meters in the morning and the afternoon. There's I forget now. There is four. I can't think of his course number, but from Nelspruit. So there's 5 guys. One guy in Durban, one guy in Cape Town, the guy from Nelspruit, and they talk about all sorts of stuff. And I often listen to them, and I have nothing to add, but I will break it and say, "Hey guys, I am here. I am listening. I don't have anything to add, but I'm here." And they'll actually call you and say to you, "Listen, would you like to add anything?" So my message goes out to the newbies, not even to the scouts, to the newbies that might be out there listening. Pick up your microphone and just say, "Hey guys, I'm new here. I don't really know what to say, but I am here and I'm listening." And the old guys, I'm going to call it the old guys, they're going to call you in. They're going to call you in and say, ask you questions. How's it? Where do you stay? Whatever. And you just need to do that regularly, and you'll eventually pick up the mic, and then you'll become a Wayne who doesn't know when to keep quiet. So he'll just talk and talk and talk. And I'm becoming a Wayne. So I'm going to hand it back to you there. Thanks, Keith. So that's basically my say going out there to all the newbies.
Yeah, thank you, Sheldon. I do remember there are 3 guys in the Kempton Park Club, and they get onto the radio every afternoon. And I was mobile once from the office, and I heard these guys chatting away. Several times I've heard them chatting away. And I did chat to the one or two of them on some of those conversations, and they indicated to me that somebody had come down hard on them for using the repeater, because we've now interlinked some of the repeaters, and they felt they were hogging the repeater and talking nonsense on the repeater. And that's not in the spirit of amateur radio. So I just told them that if you weren't using it, it would be idling along. So please use it. That's what the repeaters are there for. So you're absolutely right. I think there is that fear. You do get wet hands right in the beginning. I've seen it in the RAE HF assessments, but it is great when the guys get that confidence and go for it. I know we're getting to the top of the hour right now, and so I'm not sure. Does anybody else want to add a comment to the Peter and Wayne show? Please go ahead now. Okay, let me see if anybody is out there on Echolink that wants to add something. So if you're out there listening on Echolink and you would like to add or ask or mention something, please go ahead now. Okay, nothing heard on Echolink, and it doesn't look like anyone's unmuted. So Peter Solomon, please.
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. I'm Zulu Sierra 6 Sierra Oscar Lima. I'm a new ham. Did my license at the West Rand Club, and I just want to say I'm listening in tonight on this power hour. I was first of all on the 2 meter band, and then I hopped onto the Zoom because I thought it would be better to see the slides and things here. So listening in here, and yeah, it will be interesting to see how we can make this more active, and maybe it's a thing of like doing the parks on the air and going to set up radios in the park where people can see that that there's what are these aerials, what are these radios, what are these people doing here, and maybe they can ask questions and hand out flyers. Yeah, so who knows? Maybe that's a way to get people more involved and more interested. But as you say, like I think it's so easy for people these days to get online during, with Discord and things like that. It's probably difficult to find a gap, to get people interested in radio again, because I think that with the internet coming in, people seem to be more interested in the internet. But anyway, I had also joined Ham to try and make more contact with people. So I think I've got something in common with the other Peter as well, and that just for wanting to connect with people and avoid Alzheimer's and dementia and all of that.
Give up drinking and eat properly and exercise.
Yeah. But I'm still young, so I don't have any
Yeah.
worry of that.
You won't get that. Yeah. No, Peter, if I can just jump in quickly, Keith, before we end the whole thing. Peter is a prime a candidate of where we want to go. I understand the getting out the parks on the air and going to the zoo and getting people to see radios and antennas and what have you. I'm not even going that far to get to that market. I want the ones that have written the exam and like yourself, but who are not talking. Those are the guys that we need to get in now, primarily, and get them active on the net. And yeah, I mean the technicalities and whatever. The Porky Club serves a vital service, and Berridge does a lot of good work in running that thing because that's a lifeline to a lot of guys out there, or it certainly was. And if there is trouble and the guys are ill and sickly, there's at least someone who cares for them. I don't really want this to be a hospice type Peter and Wayne hospice show, but it's a case of just to contact so that the likes of yourself, Peter, would come on in the morning and just say, "How's it, Oaks? I'm here." That's it. Like Sheldon, I've got a karaoke voice or I've got a grumpy voice in the morning, and we'll take it away. We will welcome everybody. So I just want to say as a final here, thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope that it grows from strength to strength. It's not a club thing. It's not one club over the other club. It's not a technical thing of you've got a handsome Balin and I've got an ugly Balin. It's not that type of thing. It's a case of just talk. We'll talk about anything and we'll push the boundaries. If you want to talk about politics that's affecting us in this country, if you want to talk about the March to March, let's talk about it. If I get cracked down on certain people because we're pushing the limit, well, maybe the limit's got to be extended a little bit. And I think the new blood that are coming into the management of this hobby, will be accommodating to that. So we'll take it as we go. Maybe I'll be talking from a prison cell on a Baofeng before long. But thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. And thank you, Wayne, for muting yourself for a while so we could get some other overs in. I'll hand it back to you, Keith. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think it's I'll start closing off now, but I think it's also just worth you both mentioning, or one of you mentioning, just repeating your morning, the Peter and Wayne show in the morning, the times and the frequencies that you're on there, so that people do know that. You also mentioned that you're on HF in the afternoons. I think you said 7160. So I think it's worth mentioning the time and the frequency of that one as well. Obviously, some of us still work and to pay the bills, so we're not always on in the morning and afternoon, but I think it's worth mentioning those. And just to let you all know that there is a newbie net which the West Rand was running, and the West Rand asked the Sandton Club to also see if we can participate. So we have been running a newbie net for the beginners on a Wednesday evening, on all the Wednesday evenings other than the Power Hour Tech Talk Wednesday evening. So if that's of interest to some people, to be able to get a little bit more familiar with the VHF side of the equation, I think that is an opportunity for them as well. It's also at 1700 CAT. Before I hand over to Wayne and Peter for final notes, just to mention that the Power Hour Tech Talks are on the last Wednesday of every month. Watch out for the advertisements. And we do have some interesting talks coming up from the amateur radio community. One of them is going to be on radio astronomy with a well-known radio astronomer from the West Rand Club and his colleagues. We're also going to hear about the Morningstar remote station down in the Cape, and how they've set that remote station up out there where there's no noise, so that club members can remote into that remote station and use that for their purposes. And other invitees as well in terms of the remote station. And then we also have got a Arduino ESP and Copilot talk lined up as well in the near future. And I think there's a lot of talent in the amateur radio community. So if you wish to do a Power Hour Tech Talk or have a subject of interest to radio amateurs, please don't be shy. Let's hear from you and we'll give you the space to do a talk. Right, I'll hand over to Wayne and then to Peter for their finals. And thank you to everyone that's joined the Power Hour Tech Talk this evening. Over to you, Wayne.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Do apologize for the talking so much a bit earlier. But yeah, no, I think it's been a very good chat. I think certainly there's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's almost about a meeting of minds, and where ideas can get voiced, where they can even be formed. And I feel like a lot of commonality actually existed in this chat. Which wasn't really predominantly a technical chat. It wasn't really about that at all. It was more focused on the people aspect of ham radio and how do we get everybody engaged? How do we get them more engaged? How do we get more people to join? And one thing I do want to mention is, sure, phones and internet, it's ubiquitous now. And at the same time, with ham radio, you own the infrastructure. That is the predominant difference. If the cell phone towers go down, if your fiber goes down, that's it. You're done. You don't have that. You don't have those communications. And let me assure you that in event of something happening, those are the first things that will go down. So, an alternative means of communication is absolutely vital. And power and water, those will be the other things that will probably have problems. So it's worth mentioning that. But yeah, basically, I'd like to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to present these ideas, these thoughts, and for basically a fantastic power hour talk, as it were. And thank you everybody for the participation and for the ideas. And for the Scout guys, you've got my number. You're welcome to reach out to me and we'll get everybody in contact with everybody else. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, let me take over quickly. Yeah, we're running the Peter and Wayne show runs on the 145 650 repeater, 9 to 10 o'clock, straight after the Porkies have had their say. We pick it up and we run it from there, and it runs to whenever it runs. Sometimes it runs a long time, sometimes it doesn't run at all, but that's where it is. So you just break in, call if there's no one there. I'll certainly probably be listening, and we can take it away and talk about whatever. The 40 meter, we want to get going on a similar type of thing, although it's a lot more difficult because it's a lot more dedicated hams in it. But I'm going to bend their minds and see if we can't lighten them up a little bit. That's on the 7.165 repeater. So that's also running with the 650 on the 145 and the 7.1650 on 40 meters. And that's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, running through, probably till 5 or whenever the band's open. I'm not, as I'm a newbie, so we're just trying it out, but it seems to be working. My inverted V dipole with its handsome Balin seems to get into Cape Town quite well. So I'm very happy with it. And I've got the doorstop Kenwood TRC 70, and it does me good. Okay, so thank you very much. As to Mark, if you're still out there listening, 2 cans and a piece of string must go into your cellar, because 3IA Atlas will take out all the satellites and we'll have to go back to cans and strings. But yeah, that's an aside. Thank you, gentlemen. Hope to hear you on the TJ Net in the morning, the Peter and Wayne show. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. And take care out there. And yeah, let's be careful with what's happening in this particular country. Keep your eyes about you when you're walking. Just be alert, because The world needs alerts.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. I see Stephen, you looks like you want to add.
No, I just unmuted myself to say thank you all and good night.
Okay, no, thank you, Stephen. Then a very big thank you to Peter and Wayne and to all those who've contributed to this evening and all those who've participated by joining the Power Hour Talk and the Peter and Wayne show this evening. Look forward to the next Tech Talks and enjoy the rest of the evening, everybody. 73.
73s.